Hello and welcome to this week's Money Fit Live. My name is Todd Christensen, and today's webinar is on a topic that is pretty critical in any financial educator or any financial expert's book, and that is saving for emergency, saving for goals. The title, The Savings Roller Coaster, something we've put together over the last decade or so on why we should approach savings like we would riding a roller coaster. It may not sound interesting to you or may not sound right, but you'll see as we get into this why it makes sense. Again, and let me invite you, if you this is your first financial or Money Fit Live webinar, please join us every Thursday, 11:30. What we're going to do, we're going to go through some questions about savings. And as we go through those questions, which are all multiple choice in case you're a little worried about it, and as we go through them, it'll spark a conversation. If there's a question you might have, we are, by the way, recording this so that you can access it through our archives later at moneyfit.org/live, and you'll find current and archived webinars there. But if you're watching this live, feel free to give us include a text chat here, and let's answer any questions you might have. What are savings? Let's just get right into that. We only have 30 minutes. What are savings? Are they investments? Are they short-term? Are they stocks? Or are they wealth-building accounts? Here is how I see savings. A lot of people just lump savings and investment as the same thing. It is not. Investment is long-term. You invest with the expectation you're going to get more in return than what you put into the investment, whether it's stocks or bonds or any other sort of investment vehicle. You want back more than what you put in. Savings is short-term. Savings is not. We don't save with the idea of earning a lot of money. So a lot of people complain about, I'm not going to save at the bank or the credit union because the interest rates or the return, the yield is so small, it's not even worth it. The reason we save and put money into banks and savings accounts is it's not to earn money, because it's only going to be there for 6 months or 2 years or 3 years. It's not a long-term thing. It's there to park it safely so that when we're ready to use it, we have the money available, whether it's for an emergency or whether it's for a vacation or Christmas gifts or birthday gifts or anything like that. When we need it, it's there, it's safe, it's secure. It's not at home where if I had a flood or a fire or a theft, it's gone. Of course, there are insurance policies that might be able to mitigate some of that, but generally you want it in a safe place. It doesn't matter if the bank or the credit union is robbed or if it burns down. Money is guaranteed by Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation for banks and the National Credit Union Association for credit unions. So it is short term. Make sure that we differentiate. Investments, long term, we want a return. Savings, short term, the amount of yield is much less important than where we put it and how it's safe and that we're actually doing it. So let's move on to the next question. Why should we save? Well, there are 1,000 reasons, million reasons to save, of course. Which of these would you say there would be a good reason to save? Saving for emergencies, saving for vacations, saving for dining out, or saving for retirement? I think answer to the first question should nix that last option. But here are the two in this question. Save for emergencies. If we're not saving for emergencies, we're not prepared for future stability and security. Something happens, it will happen, whether it's a car breaking down or an appliance breaking down, or whether there's a visit to a medical emergency along those lines. And it's going to cost us more than what we've got in our checking account, what we've got in our wallet, even though what we're getting in our next paycheck. Emergency savings should in general equal the amount that you would need to survive. So housing, transportation, food. Transportation is not a need, but it's pretty close. Food, some clothing, Communication, so cell phones, utilities. How much of that do you spend in a month? How much do you spend on those a month? And multiply those by 3 months or 5 months or 6 months. How long, if you were out of work or without income, how long is it possible that you might be out of income? There's a rule of thumb that HR professionals have shared with me. They say for every $10,000 a year you make, it's going to take you a month to find your next job. So if you're earning $50,000 a month, it might take you up to 5 months to find your next job if you lose your current job. So you would need 5 months of emergency savings. What about vacations? Okay, yes, generally we don't have enough money. Most people don't keep enough money in their checking account to cover a big vacation. So you're going to need to save up for that. What about dining out? Generally, dining out should be part of your monthly spending plan, money that you have to spend every month out of your checking account and not something that you have to save up for. If you have to save up to go out dining out, hopefully you're not doing that regularly, because that sounds like it's way too expensive for most households. Okay, so let's move on to question number, let's talk about the analogy here. About savings. Why is savings like like going to a theme park, riding a roller coaster? Here's the thing. Think about if you've ever been to an amusement park, you know that on a busy day, you're going to wait maybe an hour or even more to ride a 2-minute roller coaster. If it's the most popular roller coaster, it's going to take at least an hour. It might take 2 on really busy days. And yet we do that. We invest 60 minutes of our time, and then we ride a roller coaster for 2 minutes. And off we go to the next ride, and we're happy about it. We've been excited about it. What if we turned that whole scenario around? Instead of going and getting in line for 60 minutes and waiting for 60 minutes and then going on the ride for 2 minutes and then off to another ride, what if instead you walked up and went right on the roller coaster? No line at the beginning, but after you get off, they say, okay, now you have to wait in line before you can go anywhere else. And you sit there for 60 minutes watching other people ride the roller coaster that you just got off. There's a difference. A lot of people don't want to admit it, but there is an absolute difference. If you wait for 60 minutes before the roller coaster, what you're doing, you're typically there with a family member or a friend, you are watching what you're about to do, and the anticipation starts to build, and you're getting excited, and you're imagining what it's going to be like, and you just can't wait. And yes, you would love to be able to get on the ride right now, but the line makes you wait. But you get on the roller coaster, you ride it, you have a good time, and off you go. And you're excited. You talk about on the way to the next ride, oh, did you feel this? Did you like this turn? What did you think about going upside down? Whatever it might be. If it were the other way around, if you went right on the roller coaster and then you had to wait for 60 minutes watching that roller coaster, instead of the anticipation, you're going to feel like you're being punished. Why do I have to wait here? I've already been on it. I need to get going. I want to go somewhere else. And that is exactly what we do when we don't save, and instead we put things like vacations or gifts or any other kind of large purchase. If we put it on a credit card and say, oh, we'll just do it now, we'll pay for it later. The studies are pretty clear that when you save up, you actually enjoy things more. Even in fact, here's the weird thing. People find more pleasure, we find more pleasure as human beings in saving and planning than we do in actually going on trips. Once we get on the trip and we have layovers, or we have to sit in a car for 6 hours and all the discomfort of moving in this, we can still enjoy it, but typically our greatest pleasure comes from the planning. And so saving is part of making life more enjoyable. It's not about, oh, I can't ever do anything fun when I'm saving. It's about appreciating and savoring whatever the plan is that we have in the future. Make your savings like a roller coaster. Enjoy the opportunity and the plot process of what are you saving for? What are you going to do with that money eventually? What is it for? What are you preparing for? That's how savings is like a roller coaster. So make sure that you save like you're waiting in line at a roller coaster, best roller coaster in the park. It's going to be worth it. Okay, question number 3 looks like question number 1, but savings is what? Savings is an account, an amount. Is it a comfort? Is it a commitment? A lot of people ask me, well, how much should I be saving? Where should I be saving? The reality is, think of savings not as just an account, but as that commitment and as something that will comfort you and provide you peace of mind. Savings is far more than just money in a bank. Checking account is money in a bank. Money on a debit card or a prepaid card is money in an account. Savings is so much more than that. It is putting money aside to use when necessary. So it provides the peace of mind knowing that we're covered if something happens, or if we have a plan and goal for something, that we're going to be ready for it financially. So, and really it is a commitment. Rather than saying, well, I don't have enough money, all my money's going to bills, I don't have really hardly anything left over, if any. Really, if you just commit to saving $1 a month, $5 a month to begin with, commit. Start today. I don't care if it's a few pennies. The person who starts today small will end up in a far better savings place than the person who keeps saying, well, I have to wait until I'm going to have enough to make a difference. Savings is a commitment. Even if let's say you're a college student, you need to be saving a few dollars a month because you're thinking, oh, I'm not earning anything, hardly anything as a part-time job. So you're not saving. Oh, when I earn a lot of money with my new job, then I'll save. Then never happens. You get your next job and you continue to live paycheck to paycheck, just like 60% of Americans, because you have not actually committed to savings. Commit to do it now. If you want to pause this and get online, get your phone out, transfer some money over to your savings account, set up an automatic transfer, do it now. Because if you don't do it now, it's not going to happen. It is best to save. When is the best time to save? Is it best to save at the month's beginning, at the month's end, to save automatically, or save whatever you have left over at the end of the month? Okay, you've tried it. We've all tried it. Oh, whatever I have left over at the end of the month, that's what I'll put into savings. And how much do you have left over at the end of the month? Goose eggs. There is never anything left over at the end of the month. Human nature says if you have money in your checking at the end of the month, you're going to spend it. That's just normal. That's what we do. So, successful savings. It happens at the beginning of the month and it happens automatically. If you can get this money that you've identified as saving, whether it's a few dollars or whether it's a few $100s, if you can get it out of your checking account as soon as your paycheck comes in, get it over to your savings account, the better off you'll be. The more successful you will be as a saver. How much savings is enough? Should you get to 500? Should you get to 1,000? Should you have 3 months worth of living? Should you have 6 months worth of living? Okay, trick question. Of course, yes, you should be saving all of that. $500 is a first step. It is not a goal to stop at. $500 for most households. The median household income in in the U.S. in 2018, 2019 is about $60,000, maybe a little more. So what that says is you probably should have about 6 months worth of income, 6 months worth of emergency spending in your checking account or savings account. For many households, that's going to be far more than just a couple of $1,000s. That's going to be in the $8,000, $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 range. So $500 though is a first step. If you don't have anything saved, and if you've never saved before, make it a goal. Okay, my first goal is to get to $500 by the end of the month, or by the end of 2 months, or by the end of 8 months, or by the end of a year. Once you get to 500, okay, now I'm going to double that. I'm going to do it in half the time. What most households find that are successful in doing this is that if they can prioritize that commitment, if you prioritize your savings, you'll find that, hey, I'm not spending all my money on needs. My future self, me, in the future, I'm going to need money at some point. And that's more important than these frivolous expenses, than these subscriptions that I'm letting myself get into for $5 or $10 or $20 a month. Oh, it's just a few bucks. And yet every time we spend that money, that's money that our future self is not going to have when we need it. So start at 500, get to 1,000, and get to 3 months worth of living, and most likely get to 6 months or more. Where should I keep my savings? This is a good question. Should I put it in a piggy bank? Should I put it in a big jar next to the door, in a bank or credit union, in the stock market, in real estate? There are some answers here. 2 answers are okay. Yes, put it in a bank or credit union. Again, stop worrying about how little yield you're getting on your savings account. You're not there. Even if you had $1,000 and you put it there for a year, you are going to have less than $10 in most cases. Every percentage point difference is $10. It's not much. So if you're looking for, I need a 5%. Oh, I don't want to use a 0.5%. The difference is about $45. And that's not bad, but your goal is not to earn money. Your goal is to have it there when you need it. So put money in a bank or credit union account, savings account, and keep it there and leave it there until you need it or until you're ready for the goal. Piggy banks can be great for those really short-term savings. Think money you're going to be using in the next month or 2 at the very most. If you're going to have a lot of money laying around for more than a week, you're going to want to put it in a bank or credit union, though, because it is insured, federally insured there. All right, so let's talk about some of the techniques. What do you do? How do you save this money? What are some things you can do if you want to get money into a savings account and you have not had much success in the past? Here's some ideas. 1, don't keep your savings account in the same place that you keep your checking account. If you're like me, you are going to transfer. It's going to be way too easy to transfer money back and forth between checking and savings for frivolous or unplanned expenses. I want to go out to eat tonight. I'm too tired. I don't want to eat at home. Let's just stop and I don't have any money in my checking, but I'll just transfer some money back for my savings. So get it out of your checking account into your savings. And if you still transfer money back to your savings, open up a savings account at a different financial institution. Do not connect them electronically. Do not get an ATM card to that new savings account. Find a bank or a credit union that only has 1 branch in the valley, that if you have to get the money, they don't have evening hours, they don't have weekend hours, they don't have drive. Make it inconvenient, so that if you do go get the money, it's got to be important and it's got to be for the original, what you really have planned for it. So here's an idea. You got money coming into your checking account every payday, and then don't just have 1 savings account. If you only have 1 savings account, you say this is for my emergencies and for Christmas gifts and birthday gifts and for travel and for fixing the car, replacing for my next car. You're going to end up growing all this money. And pretty soon vacation comes around and you said, okay, now how much of this was for vacation and how much was it for emergency and I'll just spend it all for vacation and I'll get caught up later. You can have multiple savings accounts at the same financial institution, and they will not and should not charge you for any extra. If they do, it's time to find a different bank or credit union. But have a savings account just for emergencies. You might even consider, instead of just a savings account, using certificates of deposit. Every time you get $500 into an emergency savings account, transfer it over to a certificate of deposit. That the idea that there might be some penalty, not very much, but a small penalty if you take money out of a certificate of deposit will again human nature says you are much less likely to raid that in for anything but emergencies. Have another savings account just for Christmas and birthday gifts. Figure out how much you're going to spend every year on these types of expenses, and put some money into it every single month, rather than Black Friday comes along and all of a sudden we decide to roll up the balances on our credit cards. Have another account for future appliances and furniture. These things do wear out and break down. Refrigerators, washers, and dryers are typically going to last on average about 15 years, and then you'll need to get another one. So how much is it going to cost you? How much do you want to spend, pay for your next washer or dryer or refrigerator? How many years until it hits that 15-year mark, divided by that many months, and that's how much you should be saving every month for your next appliance. Same thing for furniture. Figure out how long it lasts. Dishwashers might last 10 years. Microwaves maybe 5 years. If you own your own home, your roof will probably last on average about 20 to 25 years. Your furnace about, I think it's about 20 years. Your water heater about 8. So make sure you're looking at all the things in your home. Everything is going to need to be replaced. Everything that is a consumable item will need to be replaced. Just plan for it. Start putting some money aside. Have that vacation or travel fund. Have a household and yard work fund. Have a next car and car repair fund, so that when your transportation does finally die, or you're ready to get rid of it, you have money to put down on your next car, rather than just borrowing all the time over and over. Okay, so understand this. Not all rides are for everybody at the theme park. So what's right for you in savings maybe, or certificates of deposit, other people might want to use a money market account, or might want to use some corporate bonds, or some other sort of thing, or just savings, or just use a piggy bank at home, a safe. It's up to you, but these are some ideas for you to consider. Okay, also, most of us, now if you get vertigo, or if you have struggle with being on a ride, physically, of course, you're not going to enjoy it. But generally, we like longer rides than shorter rides. Look at it the same way with your savings. Put money aside and then leave it there. Don't keep moving it back and forth. Just leave it there and start the planning process. What is it that you're going to use that for? If you're starting to plan for a washer and dryer and you're putting money aside, talk about how exciting it's going to be to have a washer that doesn't make so much noise, or the dryer that doesn't take 3 cycles to actually dry your jeans, or whatever it might be, so that when you have the money, you can enjoy that, and it's makes the planning process more enjoyable. Okay, what percentage of Americans have no personal savings? Is it 27, 43, 54, 73? It's 27%. More than 1 in 4 Americans have zero money in savings. A large percentage of the rest have very little. Only a small percentage, I believe it is in the single digits, have sufficient in their savings to cover several months worth of purchases if they need to, if they're out of work. So commit to being in that exclusive club of having money in savings if needed. If a fridge lasts on average, okay, here we go. If it lasts on average 15 years, costs $1,500 to replace, how much should you be saving every month? So initially you might want to think $10 or $100, but it's $100 a year. If you buy your fridge now, start saving another $100 a month, a year, so that you'll have enough money in the future to buy another one. Now, $1,500, if you've been refrigerator shopping lately, is not going to get you much. But for small households, it'll be more than sufficient. So it's $100 a month, a year. So that works out to be, how much a year? A month. That is $833 a month. If your fridge is already 10 years old, well, guess what? You now only have about 5 years on average to prepare. That's 1/3 less time. So instead of 833, you have to multiply that by 3, and you're going to be right about $25 a month to prepare for your next fridge if you're going to have to replace it in about 5 years. Okay, so go through your home, consider all the things that you buy and start making a list. What are some of the things that you need to replace? You see there that there's the technology, the computer, the laptops, the cell phones. All these things are going to need to be replaced. Start making a list and start adding it up month by month. And once you pull your jaw back up off the floor because you're thinking, how am I supposed to save for all this stuff? Ask yourself, oh, wait a minute. Would I rather save now, or would I rather be in debt and pay a lot of extra interest later? Most of us don't want to pay that extra interest because it cuts into money that we could be spending on other things that are more important to us. All right, what is the best way to get rich? Is it inheritance, multi-level marketing, Powerball, or savings? Please, no offense to anybody in multi-level marketing. I've been in management in the company, in the corporate of a company before, and there are some really good people in there and really great products, but it is not a get-rich-quick scheme. It is not actually, for the vast majority of people, a get-rich-at-all scheme. It is hard work. Let me just say, you have to have real commitment to do it. But really, so few millionaires in this country inherit their wealth. It's less than 10%, far less than 10%. It's in the 5 to 8% range that inherit anything, let alone the bulk of their income or their money. And Powerball even less. Don't even want to talk about that because don't get me started. So savings, though, you want to start saving now so that you can have money in place to pay for emergencies and other goals and not have to dip into or go into debt and pay extra in interest. All right, the 3 key takeaways I'd like you to have here for this from this presentation, this webinar. 1, what are you saving for? Will you please identify in writing? You can do it on your phone if you want, if you got an app there. What are you going to be saving for? Where are you going to save? Are you going to save in a credit union savings account or a bank savings account, certificates of deposit, cash, so forth? And then if you're struggling right now, I don't have enough, I can't come up with any savings. Ask yourself, what is it that I'm spending money on right now that I feel is less important than my savings? And I'm going to stop spending money on that or minimize my spending on that so that I can put money towards savings. It might be dining out a lot, or there also might be the opportunity to earn more money so you can save everything. If you want to get a side gig, commit to saving everything you get from that side gig. That's a lot of work, though. You want to be able to save from your primary paycheck, ideally. So otherwise, again, it's not a priority to you. Savings has got to be a priority. If all your money is going out the door from your primary paycheck, then savings is not your priority. It is the size of the apartment and everything else that you're spending money on, which, if everybody's going to be honest with themselves, we could do with less than what we have. There are some cases where we are subsistence level, but that is few and far between, even in this country. If you've ever lived in a third world country, you know that even the poorest, many of the poorest among us in this country are far better off than much of the world. Okay, so that is enough of my soapbox. If you want to make a change, here are the steps you need to go through. 1, picture what you want your savings habits to be like in the future. What does your savings account look like? Look how big that is. What are you going to do with that? Can you just hardly wait to get started? Picture the future. Consider where you are now. What kind of savings plan do you have now? Most people don't have much of anything. So when you compare the future with where you are, where you want to be in the future with where you are, typically you're going to be pretty miserable about the difference. And that discontent is actually what you're going to use to motivate yourself to make changes. Ask yourself, what are you doing to improve the chances of succeeding? Have you set up an automatic savings transfer? Can you talk to your employer about setting up a direct deposit into a separate savings account at a different financial institution? What is it that you're doing to improve chances of succeeding? Tell yourself, I am going to succeed. This is what I want. When you tell yourself, I'm going to save, you are reinforcing in your mind that it's a priority. And finally, take one step today, right now. Right now, as soon as you're done with this webinar, you can write it down as you're thinking about it so you can remember it. One thing that you're going to do within the next 24 hours, ideally within the next few minutes. Otherwise, the longer you wait to make that change, the less likely you are to actually make the change. Okay, if you would like a certificate of completion for this participating in this webinar, particularly if you're looking for a continuing education, please go to that link there at the bottom. It's bit.ly/MFL, that's MoneyFit Live -save, MFL-SAVE. You will put in your name and your email address because the name is what you will have on your certificate. The email address is only used to deliver the certificate to you. We don't use it to spam you or send you anything else. And then it's going to ask you for this passcode. Passcode is Coaster 1019. There are no capital letters, there are no spaces, no dashes. COASTER 1019. Coaster 1019. And thank you for joining me again today. Join me again in another week for another MoneyFit Live webinar. In the meantime, if there's anything we can do for you, you'll find moneyfit.org/academy has some great courses and resources for you. You can call us there at that number at the bottom there, 800-432-0310. Look for this and other webinars archived at moneyfit.org/live. You can go back and take a look at some other topics as well. Hope you have a great day. And again, thanks for joining me.